the transmission mechanism. Money ka transmission mechanism. I'll go over the two types. Stage one is our money market. Stage one is money market. You have money supply, you have the LP curve, you have the interest rate. Then stage two, we'll talk about कैपिटल मार्केट. अब हम लेकर आ रहे हैं वो नेशनल इनकम के अंदर हमने एक पढ़ा था MEC थ्योरी, जो कि तुम्हारा रेट ऑफ रिटर्न स्लैश इंटरेस्ट रेट की बात थी, which was basically telling us कि अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट ये RO पर है तो this is the level of investment in the economy. Let me call it IO. This is the level of investment in the economy. If anything happens to this and the interest rate changes, उसकी वजह से MEC theory के हिसाब से investment will change. In national income में investment में हमने दो theories पढ़ी थी. One was the MEC theory, which said कि it's an autonomous, meaning investment is dependent on the interest rate and not national income. The other one was accelerator theory, which was saying investment is dependent on the income. Teesra, we will talk about the income and the expenditure model, which went something like this. Usme we had a 45-degree line, the income line, and we had the aggregate expenditure line. और ये aggregate expenditure के अंदर, let's say if I assume that there are two sectors, so this would have been CO plus IO. Or this is where we have an equilibrium, original. This is where the market is right now. Stage one, stage two, stage three, how will it have an impact on the national income? Okay. Before I start, any questions? So this is what's going to happen. How the transmission mechanism is going to operate. For example, the government decides money supply बढ़ाना है. We've learned this. Money supply बढ़ाने से जो हमारी एक्सपेंशनरी पॉलिसी है, मनी सप्लाई बढ़ाने से इंटरेस्ट रेट गिर जाएगा. वी कैन सी इट राइट हियर. जब इंटरेस्ट रेट गिरा, इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ गए. जब इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ेगी तो यहां एग्रीगेट एक्सपेंडिचर शिफ्ट करेगा अपवर्ड्स because of investment, and with a multiplier national income is going to increase. So if there is a question how money supply can affect या how interest rate can affect the GDP, ये करना है तुमने. This is your first that you're going to talk about. Obviously, Keynesians have problem with this because monetarists के ख्याल से ये theory is appropriate. From the Keynesians view, this theory is weak because Keynesians कहते हैं कि investment is not just dependent on interest rate. It is dependent on national income. It is dependent on the business confidence, economic confidence. दूसरी चीजों पे भी dependent है. But this theory, according to the monetarist, thinks interest rate is the key thing. ठीक हो गया? So ये पहला transmission mechanism है. Then there is one more, similar to what we've just done. That's the last thing I'll do for today. Again, stage one, I'll talk about the money market. You have the money supply, and you have the LP curve suggesting an interest rate. ठीक है, ये money market हो गया. Number 2 के अंदर we're going to talk about the foreign exchange market, currency market. और currency market के अंदर you have the quantity of the currency, you have the exchange rate, you have the demand for currency, you have supply for currency, and you have a market का exchange rate. Forex market में demand and supply की basis पे. And stage 3 के अंदर I'll talk about withdrawal and injection model because we've already worked with this. You can actually work with this also, but I will, in this second diagram, I'll work with this. You have an injection. You have your leakages. And you have your equilibrium. That's my zero level. So what I want to show over here is how the money market or the interest rate changes can affect this market, which will eventually affect this market. How will it do that? Let's see. Suppose in this one, I'll talk about how money supply, let's suppose the central bank decides to reduce the money supply. What will that do? Well, it will cause the interest rate to go up for the country. And we'll assume that now it has relatively gone up compared to other countries. So जब हमारा interest rate बढ़ गया because of money supply reduction, or in fact it could be because the demand for money has gone up, the government is demanding more, the people are demanding more, whatever. और money supply कम होने से interest rate बढ़ता है. जब interest rate बढ़ता है तो hot money जिसको हमने capital flows बोला था AS के अंदर, something happens to that capital flow. So let's suppose if our country's interest rate go up, the demand for our currency is going to go up as a result, and the supply for our currency is going to fall. Why is that going to happen? Because if our country's interest rate is high, foreigners wants to invest in my country. So in order to invest in my country, they will need my currency. Hence, the demand will rise. The local people will see that the country is giving higher relative interest rate than other countries. There's no point in investing abroad. So people will sell less of their currency to buy foreign currencies. As a result, क्या हुआ? Exchange rate went up. मतलब मेरी currency appreciate हो गई. Appreciation का क्या impact आएगा इधर? Well, appreciation will have an impact on these two things. One is exports are likely to go down. Sorry, I0 plus G0 plus X1 because exports गिरा है. साथ में जब मेरी करेंसी अप्रिशिएट कर रही है तो इंपोर्ट सस्ते पड़ेंगे एंड आई माइट बी इंपोर्टिंग मोर import rises and my final equilibrium is right over here telling me that the economy के अंदर जो economic growth है that's going down. Now over here when we're talking about this, for some of you Marshall Lerner's condition, and that might come in your head, what about the elasticity? Because export and import, it really depends on the elasticities. We're ignoring that and we're working with the main ideas. If your currency appreciates, price of export rises, price of import goes down, and so exports is going to fall and imports are going to rise. कोई इफेक्ट आएगा ऑब्वियसली यहां पर भी अगर मैं फुल फोर्थ सेक्टर इकोनॉमी बनाता हूं CIGX माइनस एम, तो वो x माइनस m का जो इम्पैक्ट होगा that will also lead to basically aggregate expenditure is going to fall down because x will fall down and import will rise, तो इसका जो impact आएगा that will reduce aggregate demand. If I was working with this, I would show that falling and eventually equilibrium वही आएगा जो हमारे नॉर्मल उसके अंदर आता है. दोनों तरीकों में सेम ही आएगा. यस
सर, एंड में तो हमारा एग्रीगेट डिमांड पे इफेक्ट होगा ना इन सब के बाद.
या वो तो होना था. अगर मैं ये वाला मॉडल नहीं बनाता और ये वाला मॉडल बनाता ना, तो भाई देखो, अगर ये मैं नहीं बनाता हूं और मैं सिंपल एग्रीगेट डिमांड और एग्रीगेट सप्लाई बनाता हूं, I will show aggregate demand going down because it is going down. Output levels गिरेंगे. यही चीज अगर मैं 45 डिग्री लाइन वाले मॉडल पे दिखा रहा होता with my C plus I plus G plus X minus M, और ये मेरा ओरिजिनल इक्विलिब्रियम आ रहा था, तो क्योंकि X is going down and import is going up, मेरा एग्रीगेट एक्सपेंडिचर में नीचे ही जाना था. और जो रिजल्ट यहां पर आ रहा है एग्जैक्टली वही रिजल्ट इधर भी आना था. पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू का सिर्फ फर्क है, अदरवाइज दोनों में सेम चीज ही आएगी.
इसमें सर इनडायरेक्टली इफेक्ट आ रहा है एग्रीगेट डिमांड में.
सॉरी,
इसमें सर इनडायरेक्ट इफेक्ट आ रहा है ना एग्रीगेट डिमांड में. मॉनिटर्स के व्यू से डायरेक्टली आ रहा था.
आई फील वही बात है कि अगेन केन्जियंस को यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम है. केन्जियंस बोलते हैं ये जो तुम इस पे डिपेंड कर रहे हो ना विद द हॉट मनी फ्लोज एंड ऑल दैट एंड द करेंसी वैल्यू चेंजिंग, अगेन केन्जियंस हैव अ प्रॉब्लम विद दिस. दे फील दिस इज नॉट to be relied upon to a higher degree. केन्जियंस को इन दोनों के अंदर प्रॉब्लम है बेसिकली. इसमें तो मेजर है ही, बट बेसिकली ये दोनों ही दे फील कि ये दोनों वीक है. इसी वजह से उनको मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी से ही प्रॉब्लम है. केन्जियंस प्रेफर द फिस्कल पॉलिसी ऑलवेज. सेकेंडरी पॉलिसी दे वुड से कि आप मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी यूज कर लो, लेकिन प्राइमरी शुड बी द गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग एंड टैक्सेस.